What's going on, New Mexico? Welcome in, everybody, to another show here over on our social media feeds. My name, of course, is Seth. To my left here on the screen, my right, however it's showing up for you guys, we've got Earl Nieto. Jacob is supposed to be joining us. Jacob was the one that actually pitched the idea to go tonight. And anyway, so hopefully he'll be joining us here any minute now. We're actually a few minutes late because we were waiting on him to see what the deal was. And so yeah, we've got a lot to get to. But before we do get into our show, we just want to say we appreciate each and every one of you popping in every single week as you guys do. If you are joining us on Facebook or YouTube, you can, of course, throw your questions and comments in the chat. We will be reading those and answering those throughout the show tonight, as we always do. A lot of news, a lot of things to get to this evening. And I think we might have some feelings tonight. I think that's an easy way to put it. So got a lot to get to, and as soon as Jacob pops in, he'll join us. But in the meantime, Earl and myself will go ahead and get the show started, and we'll talk to you guys throughout the night. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Somos Mas, the official podcast of Somos Mas NM, and your source for latest news and notes on New Mexico United. My name, of course, is Seth Biddle. Thank you guys so much for joining us here live on our social media feeds as we do every single week. Joining me tonight, as always, Earl Nieto. We've got so much to get to. We do have a little bit of housekeeping before we jump into the show. First and foremost, thank you guys so much for joining us. We appreciate you all being here throughout the season. It's been a great year. We've had a lot of great interaction with a lot of folks, and we appreciate you guys showing up as you do every week, whether it's here live when we do the show or whether it's in your podcast feeds. We appreciate all the support you guys have shown us. And so, we're looking forward to what's going to be going on here in the next few months and into the next season. We have a lot that we're not quite ready to disclose yet, but we do have some things that we're going to be working on. We're going to have some more content coming for you guys. We got some different things that we're working on. And that being said, we are looking for content creators. If you're interested in writing for the website, if you're interested in potentially being part of the podcast, we're doing a separate show with us. We've got a lot of things up in the air, a lot of things that we could potentially do. If you are interested in any of that, please reach out to us either through social media or through our email addresses, and we will get back to you. None of this is paid. We pay for all of this out of our own pockets. As a matter of fact, I've got like I think we got 4 more months on the website before that's due. So yeah, we pay for everything. We make no money off of all this. We do this for love of the club, love of sport. And so we, again, if you're interested in joining us, that's where we're at. Just something fun, something we enjoy doing each and every weekend. So we've got so much to get to. We really do. We've got a lot. And before we get into the show proper, I do have one burning question for you, Earl. And if Jacob joins us, we'll ask this to him too. How does it feel to be a world champion?
See, I wouldn't know, but hey, did you know the most streamed Spotify single is Harry Styles' Girl Crush?
I did not know that. Now I know.
See, you guys missed my random fact last week because I was out vacationing from Seth and Jacob because these white hairs I've been getting are not from my job. They're actually from the guy chugging some kind of, I'm assuming, lemonade or maybe alcoholic beverage. God only knows what Seth drinks over there. So while I was gone out last week, you guys missed my random fact. I didn't get a chance to tune in because turns out it's an hour extra where I was at. And with these guys recording so freaking late and these guys being freaking robots, I can only stay for so long. So I decided not even to join. In fact, I was probably asleep by this time last week. So to answer your question, how does it feel to be a world champion? I don't know because I'm a Cowboys fan. I'm also a Cubs fan.
I'm fairly certain you weren't even alive the last time the Cowboys won a championship.
Actually, I was 2 years old.
Oh, okay.
So do I remember the last time they won? No. But so how does it feel to be a world champ? I don't know because all my professional fan base that I follow are not any good except for the 2012 Miami Heat. and 13 Miami Heat. But that's beyond the point. Now they're terrible, and I'm a Nashville Predators fan, so they're also terrible. And I'm a Dallas Cowboys fan who are doing decent this year, but they're still terrible in years past.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm a Cubs fan who took about 1 billion years to win a World Series. So I can tell you how it feels. How does it feel, Seth?
Oh, it feels fantastic, man. Let me tell you, it's been a long time coming. I was 10 the last time the Braves won a World Series. I was 10. I remember that whole run up to it. I remember starting in 90, 91, the worst first season. I remember watching the World Series with my dad that year. I remember the 92 series. I remember the Braves against the Blue Jays. I have some memories that just like gnaw at me even to this day. Kent Herbeck is a dirty cheater. Winning the series in 95, losing to the Yankees in 96, losing in 99. There's an infield fly rule against the fucking St. Louis Cardinals, man. There's a lot of bad memories. And, as good as we were in the 90s and early 2000s, it's been a long time. It really has.
Could it possibly be because you're just an Atlanta fan?
Atlanta sports has a long history of not doing well, of not having championships. And the Atlanta Braves were the first team to bring one in. And so, that was fantastic. 95 was absolutely fantastic. And, it was like 22 straight seasons of making the playoffs, like 15 straight pennants for the Braves. So it was just unbelievable, the run that they had. And so seeing the down years in the early 2010s, watching the club go through what they did and the rebuild job that they had to do this year, mid-season after Ronald Acuna goes down, losing Marcelo Zuna, Mike Soroka, Tukey not having a great year. We did so many fantastic things this year, and it feels absolutely incredible. I mean, nobody outside of Atlanta predicted the Braves to win this. I mean, I think there were like 2 talking heads on ESPN that predicted the Braves to win the series once they made it. I think there were 2 or 3 that predicted them to beat the Dodgers when they were there. And famously, Bill Plaschke tried to take on all of the South and Waffle House, and he's going to live to regret that for quite a while, calling Truist Park a sterile stadium because there's no one there. They had 40,000 people in and around the stadium last night watching the game while I was in Houston.
I would still call it a sterile stadium because technically you guys had a chance to close it out in Truist Park, and you guys blew it.
3-1 lead going to a 3-2 lead. You know what? In a game that we weren't even expecting ourselves to win. We weren't expecting a win in that. I wasn't expecting you guys to get that far.
Yeah, that's beyond the point.
An 88 win team shouldn't win the World Series, right?
Exactly. That's my point. That's like the 9-7 freaking Giants beating the 16-0 Patriots. It's improbable. It's not supposed to happen.
Yeah.
On any sports stage, let alone the World Series. But that's pushing back from what I was trying to say. That Truist Park is still sterile because you guys lost a game-clinching game in Truist Park by 7 to what was it? 7-1? 7-2?
We also took 2 of 3 in Atlanta.
Or was it 7-0?
Hold
on. Was it 7-0?
The clinching game was 7-0. Yes. We didn't lose.
So you guys lost by 7 at home in a game-clinching match that you guys could have rose the freaking trophy at home. So yes,
we could have. Yes.
Truist Park is still sterile.
We went 6-1 at home in the postseason. 6-1.
So that one was the one that mattered.
Who won the series?
It doesn't freaking matter.
It freaking matters. It absolutely friggin' matters. 6-1 at home in the postseason. Will Smith posted 6 saves. No other closer in the entire postseason recorded more than one. He had a 0.00 ERA. Fantastic performance by him. Tyler Matzik was absolutely unhittable the entire series, the entire postseason, really. And then if you look at what the Braves did, we pitched it was a bullpen game in game 4, bullpen game in game 5, because our number 2 pitcher had a fractured fibula.
I will give it to him, though. I mean, to play a freaking game on a fractured fibula.
He went and
for those of you who don't know what a fibula is, you can either Google it or not, because I'm going to explain to you where it's at. It's your freaking shin. So the dude is pitching off his shin, which is fractured, and wins the damn game.
Yeah. His performance in that was absolutely incredible. To see him just even continue for the time that he was in there was absolutely astounding. And that's not something that you're going to see from really anybody. And then, he was out there. He got out some of the best hitters in the game this season. Like, just shut them down, which was absolutely incredible.
I just realized something. Is that a baseball trophy behind you?
Oh, this? Yeah, that's my Hank Aaron statuette.
Oh, dear God. What the fuck did I sign up for today?
Oh, yeah. Here, let me show you. Let me do this. Where is it?
Of all weeks to not be on vacation.
Yeah, here. Let me
it had to have been this one.
Actually, yeah. See, this is my Hank Aaron statuette.
Man, so for those of you watching, because we do have a couple people, we have 4 people watching on Facebook right now. Seth was just showing off his participation trophy for watching the World Series at home because he didn't make the flight out to Truist Park because he was afraid they were going to lose because it's an Atlanta team who managed to blow a 3-1 lead and also blow a 28-3 lead. So this is possible that we're not talking about the Atlanta Braves winning the World Series tonight, and we're actually talking about a Game 7, which would be happening tonight.
Which would be happening, except the series is done and over, and the Braves are the World Series champions.
But that's beyond the point. We have more important things to fry tonight, such as why Earl's wearing freaking glasses.
Yes, you are wearing glasses.
I'm trying to be like Seth. I'm trying to be like Seth and Jacob.
Trying to look smart tonight.
I was the oddball guy out, the odd guy out, where Seth wears glasses, Jacob wears glasses. I can wear glasses, obviously, but I didn't. So I decided to put my contacts in, or take my contacts out, and put on these big old honkers for a week.
Well, I got to say, it does make you look a little bit, older than the 18 that you are, so.
I was actually going for the Clark Kent look.
Okay.
Because obviously I wear a necktie and a button-up shirt for work.
Mm-hmm.
So it was brought up to me yesterday that I look like Clark Kent, minus the beard. Had I not had the beard, it was probably a Superman look. So I like pulled off a button and I was kind of like showing like a Superman look. And then my manager walked by and he was like, "What the fuck are you doing?"
Earl, you're not supposed to get undressed in the office.
Needless to say, I'm a fun guy at work. So if you're looking for a job, I know a place.
Yeah, there you go. If you're here in the state, obviously looking for a job,
yes.
Hit up Earl. Yeah, because he does work for the state, so we try not to get him in too much trouble.
Yeah, it's whatever.
But as you were saying, we do have a lot to talk about, a lot of important things, and I want to start off the meat and potatoes of our show by giving our best wishes to Armando Moreno. He did have his ACL surgery today. The club posted the video after he came out of his procedure, and so now he begins the long road of recovery from that. So next steps, we don't know yet. I imagine there's a period of recovery time after the surgery itself before he can even start to rehab his knee. So all of our thoughts and wishes go out with Armando and pray for a speedy recovery from that for him. So let's just get that out there. On to other things. The New Mexico United season is over. They did play on Saturday night, played a pretty darn good game against Real Monarchs, and unfortunately, El Paso shat the bed. How that happened, I don't know, other than getting completely outplayed from what I saw of the match. And so because of the loss to RGV by El Paso on Saturday night, New Mexico United did miss out on the playoffs this season for the first time in club history, which is unfortunate. Chris Wehan did, of course, pick up another brace, bringing, I believe it's 11 goals now, 10 or 11 goals now since rejoining the club. And so he's had a fantastic half of the season since coming back, and made Team of the Week honors once again.
For a consecutive week, back-to-back weeks.
Yeah, second consecutive week. So yeah, Bees has been, we've talked about since he came back. Bees has just been an absolute game changer for us. And we're glad to have him back. We're glad to have him under contract for another 2 more years. And so now begins the long process of the off season and figuring out what happens next for the club. And so, Earl, what are your thoughts on the season finale? Did you get a chance to go back and watch it, or did you watch it live on Saturday while you were out of town?
I watched it. I watched it live because we did make it. Where the fuck were we that we watched it? So no, I did not watch the match. Yeah, I did.
I know you're keeping tabs on the El Paso one, but I wasn't sure if you had a chance to watch ours or not.
Yeah, I watched it. I did watch it. We played a really good game because I got back in time for that. I got back home at 4:45, so I got back just in time to watch the game. I thought we played incredible. I did say 2 weeks ago that I would never say what I wanted to say, or what I never wanted to say again. So I'm not going to say that. But overall, we played incredible. And I do believe, and it's still my strong feeling, that El Paso and Jerry, I know you're not watching tonight because you're a jackass, for one. Just kidding. Love you. So I know Jerry's not watching right now, which is a downfall. But I still feel like El Paso threw that match and they didn't lose clean. I feel like they tried to play the rival card and throw the match because they knew it would cost us. But whatever. You know what? Now we have time to rest. Looking at where we're at right now, it couldn't have come at a better time. Because obviously with the news with Dev, the news with Mondo, we were already hurting as it was.
Mm-hmm.
So we said it a couple weeks ago that we would hate to go in and get blown out the very first round. So luckily for us, we get to avoid that. Because now we won't play Phoenix with 2 of our strikers out, where we're relying on midfielders and wingers to try to score for us. So I'm okay with not making the playoffs because we won't get blown out by Phoenix. It sucks that it happened the way it did. I mean, I would much rather just lost the match and that be where we're at, instead of having to rely on a team, face our rival, and our rival just decide to shit themselves. Not even the bed, just shit themselves.
Yeah, that's about how it looked for El Paso on the pitch Saturday night. It was so strange. Like, going into Saturday night, in 2019, all the deciding matches at least were scheduled at the same time. So you didn't have this staggered start time. No one knew what was going on, or where they stood, say if a match ended prior to theirs. But this was just weird, having all the different start times. And then, we're up in the box, watching the game that we have on the field. You got the World Series up on the TV, and, it was a weird night. It was just a weird feeling. And we were talking about it in the press box. As good as the play was on the pitch, as good as we looked against Monarchs, it just didn't feel the same. Like the buzz in the stadium didn't seem to be as loud, despite the being our third, I think it was our third highest crowd of the season. And I don't know, maybe it was people just looking at it ahead of time, saying, okay, this is it, not really expecting us to make the playoffs. But I don't know what it was. Like I couldn't help but be impressed with the level of play on the pitch, but the energy didn't feel the same.
So I wasn't at the match. I watched it from home, which I was perfectly okay with because I did have a 12-hour road trip before that. Yeah. So I was perfectly okay with it. And you're right. Watching it and thinking back to the match now, the buzz wasn't there. The Magic Minute, it was loud, but it wasn't what it should have been, especially with 9,500 plus people. And what it could have been, and it's just me thinking what it could have been, is they knew that we wouldn't have another home game. Mm-hmm. Because we're the 4th seed, we're playing the entire playoffs on the road. So we're going to Phoenix, we're going to El Paso, we're going to whatever team makes it out of the West into the conference championships. And even if we were to get past that part, we're still going on the road because it's the Eastern Conference, and it's more than likely going to either be Louisville or Tampa Bay.
Yeah.
So those are 1 seeds. So we're definitely traveling East Coast. So yeah, so I think the crowd just knew that this was the end of at least the home games. So it was a bittersweet moment to be able to watch your team win, obviously, because that's what you go to games to do, is watch your team win. But in the back of their mind, they also knew that, well, shit, this is the last one until next year, which I think is March. I'm hoping it's March.
Yeah, I think that's what we're expecting. I think next year we'll see far less of an impact from COVID. We obviously started late this year, and we had the compact schedule, and I think we won't have that next year. I certainly hope we don't, because the way that the schedule played out, especially towards the end with all the weeks of 3 matches in 7 days and things like that, which I think definitely hurt us down the stretch, or is one of the things that hurt us down the stretch. Like I can't see that happening again next year. And so,
see, in those 3 matches in 7 days, we've done that before.
Yeah.
So it's not bad. What hurt us was, those 3 matches in 7 days without 2 of our strikers. So we essentially had to go with our 3rd string quarterback to try to carry us on goals.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's going to be tough for any team. It does. I don't care.
And by the way, that's not taking anything away from Ilya Illich, because I love the dude. Incredible human. Loved having him this season. I hope we have him for next season. As much as Jacob doesn't want him next season, I hope we have him next season, because he definitely proved, especially this last month, that he's a reliable sub.
Yeah, absolutely. And, like I was saying, it doesn't matter what team you are. You can be Phoenix, you can be San Diego, you can be El Paso, you can be Birmingham. I don't care what team you are. If you're missing your 2 starting strikers, like, you're going to have some difficulty in handling that. And it's unfortunate that the injuries happened so late that you couldn't go out and sign somebody. Now, like if it had happened in May, June, July, August, you still have time to go out and sign a striker and bring them in, and
even September.
Well, yeah, even September. But just looking at when the roster freeze date is, like when you don't have the opportunity to go out and replace those players, it makes it all the more difficult. And again, Ilya is a guy that he showed us that he can score. We did have some concern about throughout the season, but he came in the last couple matches. He played really well, and I felt like he put himself into position to score and to create a difference on the pitch. And so, when you have a guy like that, there's always a hope that you're going to put a couple past an opponent. And, fortunately, we had enough between Bees and the other midfielders in terms of their presence and their attacking capability to keep the pressure on Monarch Saturday night and gave ourselves the 3 points to close out the season.
Yeah, and I think it's an eye-opener for Troy, and I hope it is. To not put all your money into one position.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we went out and we signed Serge. Yeah, we went out and signed Ilya. Yeah, we went out and we re-signed Nod, we re-signed Bees, we re-signed Salih, we re-signed Tenari, we re-signed. That's the entire midfield.
Right.
Jerry! Oh my God, Jerry, you're not late to the party because we work on Jerry time. Welcome, Jerry. I don't know what to say to you after you showed that I have free rent in your head. I appreciate that. I don't know how my name got brought up in that conversation, and I don't even know what to say about that, Jerry. Anyways, back to what I was saying. Yeah, so I'm hoping that opened Troy's eyes, that not to put all your money and all your eggs into one position, and definitely spread the wealth, especially. I know, Jerry. I know. I love you too. Especially knowing that you have older strikers with Dev, with Ilya, if they resign him. And Mondo, who isn't going to be a spring chicken next year, that's for sure. I mean, he tore his freaking ACL. So we definitely won't have him for at least a start. So definitely looking at some strikers going into the season, even if it's like a temporary loan, a short-term loan, or whatever we can get just to cover that. So I'm hoping that opened Troy's eyes to, even if you do go sign some midfielders, find someone that can play maybe center forward where they can actually score, or just take care of himself. And Jerry, to answer your question, where's Jacob? My night to take care of him, and it's not Seth's. So I'm assuming it was your night to take care of him. So I don't know where Jacob's at. I'm gonna be honest.
Yeah, Jacob texted us a little while ago. He worked late tonight, and so they were just getting done with dinner and things like that. So he was going to call an early night and head to bed. So that's where Jacob is tonight. We'd hoped to have all three of us here. It was actually his idea to go tonight instead of last night. So yeah, he's unfortunately not here. He should be back with us next episode. So yeah, just me and Earl tonight. But Earl, to your point that this you think this is going to be an eye-opening moment for Troy not putting all of the money in one basket, and I think it's fair to say that the money was fairly well spread around among the different positions. Like, we didn't necessarily go too heavy on one area. Yes, we brought back Naj mid-season. We brought back Salih. We brought back Bees. But I mean, I think those were necessary moves. And no one goes into a season thinking you're going to lose your top two strikers, and it's really unfortunate, because Dev having his health issues, Armando turning the ACL, and then you've got, before either of those happened, we loaned Brian Brown back out, and Ilya really hadn't shown too much. So I don't think it's a matter of putting all the money in one basket. And going forward, Troy's not going to be the only one scouting. We're going to have Itamar, we're going to have Coach Heather, you're going to have other folks in there working that technical side, bringing in and looking at new talent, guys that we haven't seen before. And that's something I was actually talking to David Carl about the other day. He's actually, this is not really like spoiling anything, but I'm working with David's going to work with us to get an interview set up with Itamar, so we can talk to him and look at his experience and talk to him about the things that he sees. So we may see guys in the future from leagues that we're not familiar with at all. which I think could be really interesting. And we have to go back and remember year one, Troy said that they wanted to develop guys and move them on. And so how many players we're going to develop and move on to MLS, I don't know. But we're not going to see the same guys year in and year out. I mean, it's been nice to have a core consistency, a core group, because I think that helps tie in what Troy wants to do. And when you bring in new people, it helps them understand the system better. But yeah, we're definitely going to spend on striker in the offseason. Forward is a definite position of need. You know, I mentioned it before. I think Christian is someone that can compete for a starting spot. I don't think he's going to start every match, especially with him being as young as he is, and depending on if he goes on to college. But I think he's a possibility. But even with that, we don't know what Dev's future holds. I think he may hang him up. I mean, I would hate to see it, but he's expressed a desire to remain with the club in some capacity, no matter what. Armando's going to be out until probably June, July, August, somewhere in there. And yeah, right now, the only forward we have under contract, and honestly, I don't even think Ilya's under contract anymore. It may have just been the 1-year deal, is Ilya. So there's a very real chance that we only have 2 hurt strikers under contract right now. So, I mean, we're going to have to throw money at that position to begin with. I think we're going to have to make some changes in the midfield. B is obviously under contract till 2023. Tanari, I would love to see him come back. JPG, I think it's time for him to go. He did look better the past few weeks than he has all season, but I think it's time to move on from him. Micah Zira hasn't really quite worked out as well as we thought he would. Brian Brown didn't work out as well as we thought. Brian Brown didn't work out as well as we thought he would, and so I can see some changes coming. I really can.
See, and I'm. This is gonna kill me. I'm okay with us keeping JPG. I am.
What?
Yes, I am. I've done a lot of soul searching this past week.
Okay. You have a soul?
I guess. I guess. But yeah, so like I'm saying, I'm okay with JPG staying as long as he's not a consistent starter week in, week out, week in, week out.
Mm-hmm.
When there's other players on the bench that can come in and take that spot, like Daniel Bruce or Salim Muhammad, who can come in and fill that role that JPG can do. So yes, I am okay with JPG coming back. Do I think he hangs it up sometime soon? Yeah, I don't think he has much left in the gas tank. I know for a fact that Micah Zero doesn't have much left in the gas tank. Do I love Micah Zero to death? Was I excited when he got signed? Yeah. Jerry. So, Seth, Jerry has a question.
Yeah, so this is a big one here. I really had.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I really hadn't planned on addressing that one tonight, but we can go ahead and start to get into it. Because I really feel like this question here from Jerry. What question? What do you guys think are the reasons NMU failed this year? This is one that's going to need a lot of deeper discussion. It really is. So, from a high level perspective, watching the club and as someone who is, I consider myself a student of the game, a student of tactics and understanding what Troy wanted to do this year especially within this particular system. I feel like what happened this year was just the biggest issue to me was a lack of consistency. That's the big thing. We didn't consistently get scoring out of our front two. Armando had spurts where he did really well. Dev had moments, not quite as big as Armando's were, but he had moments. Brian Brown never really showed up. We had a lot of opportunities in the first half of the season where we just didn't get the ball over the line, or like you see like 2 to 3 minutes in a match where there's just a mental lapse somewhere. One of the I think it was the second match against El Paso where we surrendered 2 goals in a minute and a half. Just complete mental lapse there, and times it ends at the end of the game where you think we're going to walk away with the 3 points and give up some like random fluke goal, and some of those you can't even put on Alex, because deflections and things like that. But high level, like, it's consistency. We didn't play consistent enough throughout the year, which is where we dropped points in the areas that we shouldn't have. We can talk about Loudon, and what that meant, but as a whole, our out of division play was not good. Yeah, we beat Charleston. Great. We played Lou City. I honestly didn't expect to beat Lou City at any point this season. Lou City has been a perennial contender within the league. I thought we played well enough against San Diego. Obviously, Armando got hurt during that match. We didn't play well enough at Phoenix. We didn't play well enough in our other out of division matches. So, yeah, I mean, again, that's my word, consistency. That's the big reason that we failed this year.
And for me, Jerry, by the way, that's a great question. So happy you did make it in tonight. That way we can get these tough questions asked for us. For me, just looking through the glass, not really diving into it, had a bunch of research into it. Just the mental lapses. We had huge mental lapses that led to lack of confidence, that led to the other team scoring. It happened on more than one occasion to where it happened for example, El Paso. We gave up 2 goals in a minute and 10 seconds, I think it was. We let El Paso score the first one and then beat ourselves up for the next 52 seconds and let El Paso score a second one and gave them the lead. And then we just didn't have the confidence to get right back into the game and put that second one in. So that's mine. It's a lot shorter than what Seth said. But yeah, my answer is the mental lapses leading to lack of confidence.
And this is definitely something that we're going to go deeper on throughout the offseason. This isn't it's not a quick conversation by any means. And to your next comment here, Jerry, my opinion is that the coach is the coach because NMU doesn't have a bad team, but I think the coach can't take out the player's full potential. Now, I have 2 different viewpoints on this. One, Chris Weehan. Chris Weehan came in and absolutely dominated for half the season once he came back. Like, he was by far the best player out there. And in our conversations with Chris and with Troy, like, Bees understands this system inside and out. He knows where to play. He knows where to be. He knows what his role is within this system. And so as a part of that, I think Troy has absolutely unlocked Bees. Because if you compare the second half of the season when he came back to when he was out in San Diego, or not San Diego, Orange County. Yeah, Orange County. Look at where he was with Orange County. Like, playing off the wing and all this kind of stuff. And, while our team sheet showed him lining up off the wing, look at his typical position, like his heat maps. He's basically in the middle of the pitch. Now, yes, he can play off the wing, but that's not his forte. And so you'll see Bees typically drift towards the middle and put himself into a position where he can either, basically act as a false nine and take heat off of the strikers, or he can come from that attacking midfield role and just drive the ball forward and put himself in a position to score himself, or play it off to someone else. So if you saw the entire second half of the season. So I think from that perspective, Bees' potential was being fulfilled. And, Troy bringing him back into the system, Troy understands, what he's doing Troy understands how to play Bees in the system. Bees understands how to play within the system. And so to unlock that from him is one way to look at that. Another way to look at that question is you look at Armando when he was here. Now, I know he spent a lot of time in and out of the lineup due to national call-ups and things like that, which I thought was great for him, professionally. But his play was so inconsistent when he was here that Troy wasn't able to unlock that. He wasn't able to unlock Moreno's potential. Like after Moreno came back from his first international call-up, if you watch the way he was playing, like he was very indecisive on the ball. And when he did that, he was trying to do too much and was putting himself into bad positions. Now, I think some of that has to do with the game plan or the formation that we had set up that we were running at that time, because you weren't, because Armando really wasn't getting the support that he needed. And so Armando's full potential wasn't being unlocked by this. Same thing when you look at guys like, I would say, oh gosh, it's even hard. It's hard. I was going to try to pick out one of the defenders, but I mean, the defenders all played really well. Like I would say that they stepped up above and beyond this year, time after time. But yeah, let's look at the midfield. Look at the midfield and the forwards where you have those discrepancies in whether a player is hitting their potential or not.
The other person that does come to mind on your potential and bringing out a team's potential is Devin Sandoval. Dev was 3 to 4 steps behind what he was last year. Maybe 5 to 6 steps what he was behind what he was 2019. And it could be just Dev aging. Dev's not a young buck anymore. I mean, he's pushing at least 30 somewheres. 28 to 30. He's in that range for sure.
I think Dev's 32.
Exactly. So he's probably over. I'm not sure how old Dev is. I wish I knew because he's one of my favorites.
He's 30. I apologize.
30. Okay. So I was right. He was pushing, or he's walking on 30 right now. He just could not get started, is what it was. He had 5 goals? 6
5
goals?
Yeah.
5 goals. 2 of those were off of penalties, which is almost a definite gimme shot, is what that is. It's like putting from 2 feet out. It's a gimme. So he's the first person that comes to my mind when untapped potential is hit or is talked about is Dev, because he was definitely a few steps behind and was not clicking on what was going on for sure.
Mm-hmm. And to Jerry's last couple comments, Chris Wehan was already Chris Wehan before he came. Chris was absolutely a talent before he came here. He was. I mean, there's no denying that. I just think watching the way that he played before he came to New Mexico and watching the way that he developed in this system, I feel like Chris really took a huge step forward. Start when he first started playing under Troy. And then coming back this season, he just took over. And I think he's really shown a lot more than what he's had the opportunity to do in Orange County and other places. And as to Moreno, I'm going to bring this comment right back up here. Moreno has so many qualities that Troy doesn't even use a speed and dribbling. And so like I can see this. I can see this at times. Like there were times where we would try to play the ball over the top for him. And it just didn't work. And so I think that's where some of that didn't come into play, or we didn't see a lot of that. But at the same time, like that technical ability that Armando has, like when you did see those bursts of speed, when you did see that technical dribbling ability and getting into the box, like he would, like I said, he would turn so indecisive. And we talked about this in earlier episodes. Like if he would just stop with the dribbling and the ticky-tack and, trying to find that perfect shot. If he would just put himself into a position to where he can get a quality shot, not a perfect shot, but a quality shot, which he had many, many opportunities to do throughout the season, he probably would have been, 10 plus goals and been seen as a much bigger threat. Instead, he would take that ability, get down there and get indecisive. And you'd see him like just kind of like dribbling around, trying to get around people and get himself into trouble and, give the ball away or, take a bad shot. So that's the thing. Okay. This one here, Troy wants to use the back line of three in the back. Okay. So to this point, Jerry, we had our best defensive season to date. Like, I get it. Three at the back, especially when they're not like terribly pacey, is not a good look. But this was our best defensive season to date. I truly think Austin Yearwood is going to be team of the year. And while we did have some issues, like just if you watch the recoveries that we made, some of the defensive plays that we made, like our back three was pretty solid. And playing in the 3-4-3 like we did, we're often dropping into five at the back just because of how those wing backs play. And so when I think that, with the three, like when you've got, Rosh, Kalen, and Yearwood at the back, those are our three strongest defenders. Like if you try to, I'm not going to throw Alex Touche in there as a center back against some of these teams, as a second center back, or even as as an outside back. I'm not going to do that. Like he is unproven, he's untested. He doesn't have the ability that the other guys do. Justin Schmidt was nowhere near as good as he was in the first two seasons. Like Schmidt came into camp this season and he was a tank. Like he looked like he had trimmed down in terms of like actual like body fat, but like he was big. And so like Justin Schmidt doesn't have the pace. He didn't have the decision-making ability. And I'll even say that, Kalen Rice's decision-making wasn't great 100% of the time. But I feel like our back three was unbelievably good this year.
Yeah, and I'm the same way. The back three, even when we had Schmidt in there, he was definitely reliable. So when Rosh was down on his knock, he was definitely reliable. When Austin went down for his ghost red card, and couldn't finish that match, and Schmidt came in to cover in, he played good. Schmidt is still a definite go-to on a defensive line. Those three that we had out there a majority of the time with Yearwood and Kalen and Rosh, I would put those three up against anyone in the USL. Anyone. Including El Paso and Corrijo and Luna and all those other youngsters that have a lot of speed. I would still put our three up against anyone and not be worried.
To the last question here, right here. This is a good question here. You guys don't believe in hashtag Troy out.
Nope.
I'm solidly against hashtag Troy out. Like, I think most clubs are going to throw out the 2020 season. Throughout 2020, COVID, weird season, we allowed 18 goals in 16 games last year. This year, we ended up allowing 40 goals in 32 matches. So it works out about the same. I want to say, I'm double checking the stats here. We had, I believe, more clean sheets this season than we did last season, and absolutely more than we had season in 2019.
I want to say we had 9 clean sheets.
We had 7. Okay, so we had the same number of clean sheets as we did last year. So 7 clean sheets, 40 goals allowed. Both of which, 7 clean sheets, top half of the USL. Goals conceded were in the bottom half of the USL. So defensively, we had a pretty darn good year. I think there was too much inconsistency. Like I said already, too much inconsistency this year. I'm of the opinion, give Troy one more year. Give them next season, see what happens. If we don't make the playoffs next year, then it's time to make a change. But in terms of what we accomplished, first 3 seasons, the changes that we made mid-season this year, showed a recognition that, hey, we have to do something different. We have to change it up. We have to improve from where we're at now, because we weren't doing well. We weren't performing. And so Troy went out. Yes, he brought back guys we'd had before, but it made a drastic difference in how the club played for the final half of the season.
And I feel completely different. I feel that hashtag Troy out is a stupid hashtag, for one. Troy is completely sold in on New Mexico. He's completely bought in on New Mexico United. He's a good coach. Did we have the unlucky coin flip? Yes. Do we know why? I feel like I hit the nail on the head at the beginning of the podcast. So, Jerry, you have to go back and listen to the beginning of this before you hopped on. I don't think they give him 1 more year. I think they give him maybe 2, just because of next season. So he essentially had year 1. Okay, then we had COVID year. And then, so this is essentially year 1.5. I see him at least 4 years here. Definitely, if we don't make playoffs next year, he's on the hot seat. And if we don't do anything the year after that, he's gone. So I don't believe in Troy out. I think he plays the 4. I think he coaches the 4. And then if nothing changes and we're still sitting here early November, talking about how the season went and what we think we could have did better, then yeah, I definitely think Troy gets replaced as head coach, but I don't think we get rid of Troy. I think we consider maybe moving him down to like a scout, something in New Mexico with the academy, something like that, just because of how much he has bought into New Mexico and what actually is going on here.
And Jerry, to your point here, NMU finished in 5th place out of the playoffs. Something needs to be changed. We're not disagreeing with you. Changes do need to be made. Changes have already happened, but I don't think at this point changing Troy is that answer. We brought in Coach Heather from UNM Lobo Women,
who was named Coach of the Year
for the 2nd year in a row, by the way. So congrats to Coach Heather on that. She's been working with the players and talking to them about different things. And so we've already seen an impact from her coming in and working with the players and being part of the technical staff. Idamar Kanan was just, came on as the director of player personnel. So this is a guy that was a former scout, is a scout, former agent, a guy who has scouted and looked at talent for years. And so it's not going to be just Troy looking at talent and bringing talent in. And, between Itamar, between the academy, between, Coach Heather and Troy, we've got a lot of different eyes on it now. And so I'm really excited to see what Itamar can bring to his role as a director of player personnel and seeing the contacts that he has. And so I don't want to give anything away, but there's something in the works for us and the club. And so I'm really excited to see what Itamar and Heather continue to bring to the club heading into next season. I really want to see what the academy starts to pump out, because we've seen Christian come in and have a positive impact on matches. Now, has he gotten a goal or anything? No, he hasn't done anything like that yet. But he's been a positive energy, a positive impact on the play. And so changes are already being made. Unfortunately, Itamar, he's not going to have an impact until this offseason and heading into next year. And Heather, we've already seen the impact. We've heard from players where she's made an impact in what they're doing already. And so those changes are happening. And Troy and Peter have acknowledged, hey, something wasn't working this year. So, I think there's a lot there, and we're going to get so much deeper into all of this as the offseason goes on. And Jerry, that is something we're going to talk about tonight. We're going to get
just before we move on to what Jerry wants to talk about, it's been the Jerry show tonight anyway, so it's all right. To touch on that, New Mexico United finishing in 5th place and out of the playoffs. Yeah, we finished in 5th place because the team that we needed to win, which was reliable to win almost all the time. I mean, they were 24-0 at home. They were sitting first place in the Mountain Division. I think they went 22 games undefeated or unbeaten. I know they had a crazy stretch. Sorry if I threw out that number for sure. My bad. But we finished 5th, and this is not an excuse for United, for sure. Without our forward, without our backup forward, meaning we had to play, like I said earlier, our 3rd string striker, who is definitely in his 30s, who didn't get much playing time all year because he was a backup, and I think he accepted that role as a backup and knew it wasn't going to be consistent time all the time. Did I want to see Ilya a lot more than what we did? Of course I did. I was high on him last year. What was it, December that he got signed of last year?
Mm-hmm.
Last December, I'm the one that I called, and I will definitely admit, I definitely called him the signing of the offseason. And I own up to that. Was I wrong? Yeah, I was, because he was a backup. If only we knew that. But yeah, we finished 5th without 2 of our top strikers and had to finish the last 3 games. Without our 2 strikers. So we had to have midfielders step up into a striking role. We had to have different formations come through, which gave me more hope for Troy. And yeah, I can't wait to see Jerry's playoff predictions.
Yeah, we're gonna get to all that. We've got that to talk about. We've got some other things. I do have updated scores on our NFL Pick'em, by the way.
Yes, can't wait.
That's gonna be fun to get into. And so I think, Earl, you have one quick question here that you got to answer in the chat. Earl, you think El Paso through the game? Honestly.
Okay. So, as many people know, Earl is a huge WWE fan. And to quote one Vince McMahon, it's not just a yes, it's an oh hell yes. I definitely think El Paso threw that match because of the score line. There's no way RGV puts 4 on El Paso in a game that El Paso can possibly get the number 1 seed in the West, and you lose 4-1. Knowing that if you guys lose, New Mexico's out. Knowing that New Mexico and El Paso have a deep rivalry. So, yes, Jerry, I do think El Paso threw that match. But it's neither here nor there because it is now the offseason for New Mexico United. So we get to rest up and plan for next year. And I get to now focus on my new favorite sport outside of soccer, being hockey.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to hear about Earl's hockey obsession as we go through the off season. But yeah, it's been a long season. New Mexico, we've talked about it, I think, enough so far. New Mexico United, of course, did not make the playoffs, but I think that's probably the less bad news this week. We were going to originally record last night, but we wanted to wait until the actual election results came in, and the stadium bond here in Albuquerque did get voted down by a significant amount. I won't say that it was close, and going into it, there was a lot of optimism that it was going to be fairly close to a 50-50 vote. From the club, from folks I talked to there. And, I spent a lot of time volunteering for the club and helping spread some information out. And honestly, looking at the results of the election and looking at my personal experience with people in and around the community, I did not expect it to be anywhere near as bad as it was. And last night, New Mexico United did put out a statement. At its heart, New Mexico United is a community-driven platform, and we will continue with our mission to unite and uplift our community every single day. We acknowledge the will of the voters in rejecting the city of Albuquerque plan for a city-owned stadium. While United will continue its pursuit of a multi-use facility that will allow us to bring a professional women's soccer team and other community-driven programming to New Mexico, we will not be actively pursuing the proposed sites, including South Broadway and Bareilles. United has said from day one that we will only support a location where the local community is behind the project and the stadium can uplift all, not just a few. That work starts immediately. So, tough night. I know we were optimistic that the bond was going to go in our favor. And as a reminder, if you are with us, as just like Jerry does, you can throw your questions and comments in the chat on Facebook and YouTube. Would love to get some input here on this topic. The stadium bond got voted down. United moves forward. It's sounding like it's more than likely going to be a privately funded stadium. From this point, we don't know exactly. We don't know what the club's plans are. But I, for one, was extremely let down, not only by the outcome of the election in terms of the stadium bond, but I was also let down by we've talked about, the media coverage here was very anti-stadium from day one, even before the club starting putting out infographics and things like that. The local media was very anti-stadium. And looking at the reaction across social media, even from USL Championship supporters, cheering and I almost want to say rejoicing, but cheering on the fact that the bond got voted down. Like, I think that's an absolute disgrace that other USL Championship club fans are rooting against a club getting a stadium through public funding. And so I just, I have a hard time accepting this. Like, I get we lost a vote, blah, 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 whatever, had this been introduced any other year, had this been introduced last year, it wouldn't have had to go to the voters. If we did it next year, it wouldn't have to go to the voters. but this was important to the club. And there was so much misinformation about there. Even earlier on Twitter, I saw someone making a comment saying, well, why don't they just work with UNM? Why don't they just do this? And these are things that weren't addressed by local media in any of their coverage of it. And so I don't know. I mean, Earl, what's your reaction to, first of all, the bond not passing, and then to the reaction of folks, especially those who are in the USL community, being happy that the bond didn't pass?
So, super disheartened that the stadium bond didn't pass. Even being looking at it as an outsider. So I wasn't doing this. Say I wasn't writing for the club. Say I wasn't following the club. I've never been to a soccer game. I don't know anything about soccer. I don't know anything about, well, that's not anything different, but I don't know anything about New Mexico United. Any of that. Take all of that out of the picture. Take it to 2018 Earl, where he knows nothing about New Mexico United, nothing about soccer. He doesn't have this flag, this flag right here hanging up. Sorry, wrong finger. His wall's not plastered with United memorabilia and merchandise and autographs and everything else. I'm still for the stadium because, one, it's going to bring revenue to the city. Two, it's going to be something positive for a city who doesn't have much positive going on. And three, it's going to create jobs, which is, as everyone knows, I work for the state. I help people find jobs. So that part sits deep in my heart. Jobs is a big part of what I do for a living. It is what I do for a living. So just those 3 points right there, I'm for a stadium. Then you throw in the whole aspect now of me being a United fan, me being a media member for the team, and all that other stuff. It just adds to the sweetness of having a stadium. So, yeah, I was definitely disheartened by the bond failing. Now to your second part. And I'm glad Jerry's here because he can vouch for this. I am a sucker when it comes to Facebook arguments. So I have been suckered in to various posts on Facebook, or Meta, I guess is what it's called now. I've been suckered into posts on social media about the stadium. I have done my due diligence, even though I'm not an Albuquerque resident. I do not live in Albuquerque, so I did not have a vote. But I do still have a voice. So the people that did not know where I work about the stadium bond, I definitely educated them on it. That way they can go vote how they want to, obviously, but at least they're going into it somewhat educated. So there was a couple posts on Facebook. One of my friends put that she voted for a certain mayoral candidate. She voted no for the stadium and voted something else, whatever. I don't care. Look, you have your vote. I understand. So when I asked her why she voted no, out of curiosity, that was my exact words, out of curiosity, why did you vote no for a stadium? Her exact words, and I quote, Albuquerque already has 2 stadiums not used year round. Why do we need a third? That was her reason for voting no, because Albuquerque has 2 stadiums not used year round. So I facetiously used my cunningness and said, I'm so glad you voted uneducated, because that's where I get suckered in. And 2, I broke down the fact that, yeah, there are 2 stadiums in Albuquerque that don't get used year round, because one's a baseball team and a baseball stadium, which plays during baseball season. And then there's the UNM football team, who plays during football season in a football stadium across the street. So we're working with both UNM and the Isotopes to make a season happen, so we're not stuck on Thursday night playing Thursday night football.
And that's actually something that Peter talked about the other night after the press conference. We grabbed Peter, and he was talking to Jacob and Allie and myself, and he's like, "You guys are the ones running So Much Sauce." Yeah, that's us. So Peter knows who we are, and
We're recognized. We're good.
Yeah, we're recognized. Yeah, we're good, man. But no, and he said like he hates the midweek stuff. Like he would love to see more weekend matches because it's so hard to get people out to midweeks. Like they don't want to play Monday night football. They don't want to do Wednesday night football. Like,
and midweeks are tough because you're New Mexico United. So you're a club for, and that's their exact words, you're a club for New Mexico and New Mexico's culture and New Mexico's citizens and the people of New Mexico, and it's New Mexico's club. But you're expecting someone to drive from Santa Fe on a Monday night at 7 p.m. or a Tuesday night at 7 p.m. or a Wednesday night at 8 o'clock and then drive back to Santa Fe and go to work the next day?
Right.
No, it's not going to happen. And it gets even worse where people are driving from Las Cruces, where that's 4 hours on a Monday night to drive back to Las Cruces to go to work on Tuesday morning at 7 a.m. So, yeah, those uneducated votes are what got us. The misinformed votes are what got us. I really wish people would have did more research into it. I'm not going to talk bad because the club did put out a post to not talk bad about people who were uneducated voting, because there is Plan B in motion. I don't know what Plan B is. Well, I know what Plan B is, but I don't know what New Mexico United's Plan B is. So it's very disheartening that the stadium was voted down. It's more disheartening to see that the reason the stadium was voted down was a majority of misinformed voters or uninformed voters.
That's one of the things that's really bothered me the most about it, because if you look at the way that the media campaign was run, particularly by the major outlets here. We're obviously not a major outlet, but we do cover the club. We're very pro club. We're pro stadium.
Wait. We're not major?
I mean, compared to the source NM, no, but at least when it comes to covering the club, I feel like when it comes to covering the club, I feel like we're one of the best sources out there compared to KOB, KRQ, whatever. But in terms of like their actual coverage of the bond and the information and the way it was out there, like it was basically from day one, it was construed as bad. And no one was reaching out to people like us to come on and talk to them and talk about stuff and present the facts as it should be. And Jerry, we appreciate that. We appreciate the fact that you didn't vote no on the stadium bond.
But would you have?
Great question right there. But there was a guy on Twitter that I was interacting with who was telling me that United was trying to hurt the homeless people of Albuquerque. Like, seriously, there was a guy on Twitter telling me that United was trying to hurt the homeless people. Like, people are saying like all this stuff.
I'm gonna stop you right there.
Yeah.
Here's what bothers me about all the misinformation that's being thrown out there. The fact that some of the claims or refutes to the stadium bond is use that money for something else. Use that money for homelessness. Use that money for public assistance or police assistance or fucking roads or whatever the hell they're saying. Here's what pisses me off. All of those things, and Jacob, you can vouch for it because you are an Albuquerque resident. All of those topics that were brought up were on the freaking ballot.
Yep.
But it was going to raise, so the stadium was going to raise taxes, supposedly, which is untrue.
Correct.
But yet you voted for an APS bond, which raised your taxes $2 per every $1,000. And there was 3 of those. So you raise your taxes $6 per every $3,000 you make, or technically $3 or $6 per every $1,000 because it's still $1,000 tax. So $6 per every $1,000 you make, but you didn't want the stadium to raise taxes, but you voted for APS to raise their own taxes.
APS is going to get over $600 million in funding over the next 6 years.
Exactly.
From this ballot alone.
But that money should go to someone else.
And yeah, there was so much misinformation. Like United is trying to hurt the homeless people, or this money would go to someone else, or this money is going to raise your taxes. And no, like none of this was true. And like people, and like so many people didn't even know about the CBA. People didn't understand what the CBA was, and I definitely don't think the city lawyer did anyone any favors by saying that he's never seen a CBA work. But like this CBA had to be in place before any construction could start, which nobody understood. And then, on Sunday when I was out canvassing, there was one neighborhood I was in. They said they received an email from their neighborhood association saying that they weren't within the city limits and that they couldn't vote on the stadium. When those residences are within like city council district 5 or something. I don't remember the exact district number. We looked it up, but it was just, and so a comment was made to me that was voter suppression, by an HOA or a neighborhood association, whoever it was, telling their residents that they couldn't vote on it, which is completely untrue, because if you can vote in a city council election, you can vote in Albuquerque Metro elections. Like you can. So like it's just like it was just so aggravating and so much misinformation and bad stuff being put out. And like I don't think you can find anyone who supported the stadium. I don't think you can find anyone who supported the stadium that didn't also support these social programs. And I'm still, I said the other day I was going to get some numbers together. I haven't done it yet, but like we have put millions and millions of dollars into homelessness and affordable housing over the past decade.
And we have dropped another 60.
We have put millions and millions and millions of dollars into APS, into APD. APD makes up 30% of the city budget. And we just voted to give them another $25 million a year. Like, what good is this throwing money at APD if it doesn't fix anything? I think I'd have to look at it, but we're probably one of the worst cities in the nation in terms of the murder rate. I'm pretty sure we've already broken the record from like 2 years ago.
109 today.
Like it's ridiculous. Like, but throwing money at the problem doesn't fix it. Throwing money at homelessness and low-income housing doesn't fix it. I mean, we need jobs. We need jobs. We need better education. Now, throwing money at APS is a giant sinkhole too, because the people running APS don't know what to do with the money. Instead of building, a $10 million building over off Louisiana, put it into the schools we already have. Like there are better things to do with this money that we're throwing at these departments that aren't successful. That aren't helping the city.
Here's my final take on it. And it's been said on Facebook today before, and so before I get to that, yes, Jerry, the stadium was going to be a big plus for New Mexico United. But unfortunately you're an El Paso fan, so yes, you can be relieved that we didn't get it. And I absolutely wholeheartedly hope that you guys get a stadium, because I feel like a USL Championship team should not be playing in a baseball stadium, even though El Paso is a rival of ours.
Yeah, exactly. I would support any club.
Even though Jerry gets on my nerves and tags me in comments that I have nothing to do with and lets me live rent-free in his head. Whatever the case may be, Jerry, it's cool. I understand. We can't all be as cool as Seth. I get it. even with El Paso being a rival, I want you guys to get a stadium because I would love to drive down to that stadium, especially if it's really freaking nice. I would love to drive down to that stadium and check it out because that's what I do. I went to St. Louis last week. I'm a Nashville SC fan. But yet I had to check out the new St. Louis SC stadium that's being built because that's what I do. I go to different cities and I check out stadiums. I checked out the Cardinals stadium. I'm a Cubs fan. They're interdivisional rivals.
Oh yeah. No, I love
fanboy over it. Every time I fanboy over it. Went to Phoenix. Everyone knows how much I hate Phoenix, and the guy that put that post that you tagged me in, or that comment that you tagged me in, Jerry. So God knows how much I hate that city. I was in Phoenix. What did I do? I drove to Phoenix Rising's new stadium just to check it out. I drove to their academy pitch to check it out because that's my thing. Stadiums. I freaking love stadiums.
Yeah, I love stadiums too, and I've been to several different MLB ballparks, things like that. I've been to Boston, Boston, Arizona, and a few others, and I would love to go to Shea Stadium. I don't think it's there anymore, but I would love to go there. I would love to go to Wrigley Field. I would love to go to Coors Field. I want to see these places, and
I travel to visit to go to wrestling all over the country because I love checking out the new stadiums. I've been in the new Allegiant Stadium, where it's the only stadium in the NFL with freaking air conditioning.
Jerry, if you guys did get a stadium first, I don't give a shit. I don't give a shit if El Paso gets a stadium first.
I want you guys to get a stadium.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm on board with you, man. I want you guys to have a stadium.
Yeah, all these USL Championship clubs that haven't been able to get one, that need one, that are playing in baseball stadiums, that are playing at Lucas Oil Stadium, shit like that. I want these clubs to get stadiums because it looks better for the league as a whole. It looks better for these clubs, and it looks fantastic. These clubs deserve places to call their home.
Even above that, though, it allows that team, that club, a place to call home that's not a baseball stadium. So right now, and I'm sure, Jerry, you can vouch for this, El Paso Locomotive have to work with the El Paso Chihuahuas to have a season. Because that's what it is. You guys are playing in the El Paso Chihuahuas stadium, so you guys have to talk to El Paso Chihuahuas first in order to have even a game. That shouldn't happen in a pro sport. You shouldn't have to beg another team. Excuse me. You shouldn't have to beg another team to have a game because they want to play a game first. That's not how pro sports go. Pro sports is your pro team. You have your own stadium. That's my soapbox. I'm jumping off of it. That's for sure.
Jerry's comment here. To be honest, I didn't see it that way. I guess I let the rivalry bribe me for a second. Look, we're all for the rivalry. There's nothing wrong with the rivalry. We get that. Rivalries are necessary in sports, but I wouldn't begrudge anybody getting a stadium for their club. I'm going to throw my weight and support behind any club that's seeking to build themselves a stadium. Privately funded, publicly funded, whatever. I don't care if
build yourselves a home for it. Yeah, I don't care if Obama's paying for it. I want you guys to have a stadium. I want any team to have their own stadium. I don't care if I'm paying for the damn thing. If you need help paying for it, call me.
I got $10. I'll give you $10, man.
I will definitely put my time into it.
Yeah. So, all right. I think we've talked enough about the stadium bond.
Yeah, talk about our football scores. I'm done talking stadium.
We'll see what happens in the coming weeks and months as terms for Plan B from the club in terms of a stadium and what happens with that.
Let's see how many points are dropped.
We're gonna get to the NFL scores here in just a second, but before we do have one last bit of USL stuff to get through. The USL Championship playoffs do begin on Friday. And the USL Championship has staggered the kickoff times, which is absolutely fucking fantastic. Thank you, USL Championship, for doing that.
It's about time.
So I know, right? God, it's about time that you staggered kickoff times so we can watch every single match. Thank you, USL. Anyway, matches kick off Friday night at 9:30 p.m. Eastern time. First match up, El Paso and Oakland. And we're going to run through our picks here. We'll get Jacob's picks off the air. And we'll see who has the better bracket at the end of this. And hopefully Jacob will get us scores on our lineup pick 'em too, so we can figure out who's going to get a kit. So anyway, Earl. And we're not going to go in depth on these. We're not going to like discuss them. We're just going to
call them out. Just call them out.
El Paso and Oakland.
El Paso.
Yeah, I see El Paso winning this one. I don't know scoreline, but I'm going to go El Paso to beat Oakland. All right, next up, we'll just go straight down the line here. Saturday night, 11/6, the Pacific 2, Mountain 3, Orange County, Colorado Springs. This is at 10 o'clock p.m. Eastern time on Saturday.
Fuck you, Colorado Springs, Orange County.
Wow, really? Okay. I think Colorado's a better team. I really do.
They are too. But because their stupid post that they put on Friday night or Saturday night, fuck you, Colorado Springs, Orange County.
All right.
I do hope Haji Berry scores like 18 in that game.
Hope Haji Berry scores 18, but they lose. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, Orange County's got to score like 19 at least, right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Next up in the Western Conference, San Antonio and San Diego, Mountain 2, Pacific 3. This is on Friday night at 9 o'clock Eastern time. Oh, those aren't really staggered at all. Fuck you, USL. How dare you? I thought they were staggered more than that.
Stagger by like 10 minutes.
Half an hour stagger. Anyway, San Antonio, San Diego. Who you got?
San Diego.
Okay. All right. Earl's got San Diego. I'm actually going to go San Antonio on this one. Home match for San Antonio, I believe. They are the higher seed. San Antonio has played pretty well down the stretch. They've come a little bit better. So I'm going to go San Antonio. Earl's got San Diego. All right. And then the Friday night finale, 10:30 p.m. Eastern, Phoenix and RGV.
Phoenix.
Yeah. I don't see RGV taking this one. So both going to go Phoenix here. Jerry. Let's see where Jerry. Jerry's got El Paso over Oakland 4-0. Colorado over Orange County 3-1. San Antonio losing to San Diego 3-2. We'll get his Phoenix score here in just a second. All right, so that finishes out the first round. The Western Conference quarterfinals, I should say. Phoenix 4-1 over RGV. There you go. All right, not bad. All right, over to the Eastern Conference. This one starts 11/6. So, again, Saturday night. Tampa Bay Rowdies at Tulsa.
Tampa.
All right, Earl's got Tampa. I'm going to go Tampa as well. Next up, Birmingham and Pittsburgh.
This is one I don't know much about. Let's go Pittsburgh.
All right, Earl's going Pitt. You know, I said something earlier in the season about Pittsburgh being quite possibly one of the better teams coming out of the East. They didn't quite end up where I thought they were going to, but I think Birmingham beats Pittsburgh here. So I'm going to go Birmingham. All right, Charlotte and Memphis.
Memphis.
Okay.
Memphis 901.
Earl going the upset there. All right, Jerry's got Tampa over Tulsa, Pittsburgh on PKs. I'm going to go Charlotte. I like Charlotte in this matchup here. And then the Eastern Conference quarterfinal finale, Lou City against Miami FC.
The Miami FC. Get it right, you son of a bitch.
Yeah, well, who cares?
Either way, the score will be the Louisville.
All right, yep, Lou City, absolutely. And Jerry's got Charlotte over Memphis. All right, so looking at our second round here. So, Earl, you would have El Paso against Orange County. Who do you have advancing to the Western Conference Finals?
Why do I gotta do this to myself, El Paso?
El Paso, all right. And Jerry's got Lou City 4-0 over Miami. El Paso, I had El Paso over Colorado. I think Colorado takes this one. I think they do. So I'm going to go Colorado over El Paso. All right. So that's half of it there. Earl, you had San Diego over San Antonio. So San Diego and Phoenix.
San Diego. There's the upset.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. San Diego over Phoenix. Okay.
I do believe they beat Phoenix in the regular season.
We can look that up. We can absolutely look that up. All right. Jerry's got El Paso advancing over Colorado, Phoenix over San Diego. And while we're looking this up here, all right. I had San Antonio and Phoenix. I'm going to go Phoenix over San Antonio. Harry, appreciate you, but I just don't see San Antonio being enough for Phoenix. All right, Earl, out it back to the East. You had Tampa and Pittsburgh.
Tampa,
okay. I had Tampa and Birmingham. I'm going to go Tampa over Birmingham. And then you had Memphis over Charlotte, and then Lou City over the Miami FC. So Memphis and Lou City, who do you got?
Lou City.
Lou, all right.
So
Jerry, 2-0 Tampa over Pittsburgh.
So my answer to Phoenix and San Diego.
Mm-hmm.
Phoenix beat San Diego 1-2. Two. They should have played what? 3 times? 4 times? 3.
3. Yeah.
So Phoenix beat San Diego 3 times.
Okay. And you're still taking San Diego over Phoenix. All right.
Hey, I don't even know which season I'm in anymore. I'm gonna be fucking honest.
Well, San Diego wasn't here last season, so.
Because the way they have it is March, April, July, August, September, October, November, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November.
What the heck?
Oh, so I'm looking at Phoenix. Let me go to San Diego. That'll make more sense.
All right, so San Diego and Phoenix opened the season against each other. Phoenix won that one 4-1. Second time out, they drew 2-2. Third time out, San Diego will beat Phoenix 2-1. And then the fourth time, Phoenix beat San Diego 1-0.
San Diego.
All right. So all right. Then I had Charlotte over Memphis and Lou City. I'm gonna go Lou City over Charlotte. Let's see, Jerry, Lou 3-1 over Memphis. I think so, Jerry. I think so here. I think Colorado does beat El Paso in El Paso. I believe the season was what, 3 draws and then 1 win for El Paso. I think that's the way that went for them. But yeah, I think so. I think Colorado is one of the few teams that could potentially do that. All right, so then, Earl, your Western Conference final will be El Paso against San Diego.
San Diego.
Wow. Okay, so you've got San Diego going to the USL Championship.
Yep.
Oh, I'm aware, Jerry. I'm aware they haven't lost since last season at home. All right, and then
it has to come to an end eventually. So, yes, San Diego beats El Paso in the Blue Waffle.
Jerry, what do you think is more reasonable? San Diego beating El Paso or Colorado beating El Paso? That's the real question. So all right, then my Western Conference final is Colorado and Phoenix. Jerry is going to take El Paso over Phoenix. And then I'm going to say Phoenix over Colorado.
Of course he is.
Yeah.
So my question is, if it's El Paso and Phoenix, where is it played?
Let me double check that. I believe that will get played in Phoenix. That'd be in Phoenix.
Oh, because they're the higher seed.
Yeah, Phoenix has Phoenix is on 67 points. Yeah.
Yeah, because they're the 1, and then El Paso is technically number 2.
Yeah. And so Jerry he's got Lou City over Tampa. All right, so over the Eastern Conference final. Earl, you had Tampa and Lou City.
I set myself up on this one. Lou City.
Okay. All right, then I had Tampa and Lou City as well. I'm going to go Lou City. All right, so USL Cup Final. Earl, you have San Diego and Lou City. You may as well just write this.
I'm going San Diego on this one.
Yeah. Earl is taking San Diego to win it all. All right. So Jerry would have El Paso and Lou City. And then where would that match?
I want to know what he said on that one.
That match will be played in El Paso.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
I just might go to an El Paso match.
Jerry, I believe I'm correct, El Paso would have the home in that match. Because El Paso does have more points on the season.
No, he's talking about the Phoenix El Paso match.
No, he said El Paso versus Louisville.
Oh yeah, I can't get this stupid thing off my screen. That's why.
Oh, okay.
Oh, there it goes. There we go.
Yeah, that should be El Paso at home.
Yeah, because Lou City is the overall 3.
All right, I've got my final is Lou City and Phoenix. Then I'm gonna go Lou. I'm gonna say, oh God, Lou City over Phoenix.
I'm okay with that.
Jerry says if it's in El Paso, then El Paso will beat Lou City 3-1.
Hey Jerry, so if the final is in El Paso, are we invited to like your barbecue?
If it's in Louisville, then Louisville 3-2 over El Paso. All right. All right. Well, there we have it. There are our USL Championship playoff predictions. We'll see what happens. Earl going bold, having San Diego winning it all.
Yep.
That's going to be interesting. I can't wait to watch the games this weekend. I wish they were staggered. I really do. The finals here, we all go into the state, and that'll be fun, man. That would be fun. What's the date on that? What's the date on the final? Do we have that? I think we do. I think it's on the...
Yeah, I think it's on the bracket.
It actually isn't. The only dates it has listed on the bracket are the quarterfinals.
Of course.
Yeah.
It's the USL, that's why.
Oh, here we go. Conference quarterfinals, November 5th through 7th. Conference semifinals, November 12th through 14th. Conference finals, November 19th through the 21st. Then the USL Championship Final, November 28th.
Yeah, that's on the thing at 6:30 Mountain Time. Jerry, you fucker.
If that does end up in El Paso, if that final does end up in El Paso, I could go to that.
I could too. I'm definitely game. My question though is, if the final is in El Paso, we all know Jerry's having a barbecue. Are we invited?
There we go. The real question, Jerry. You gonna have us over if we come down?
Yeah, are you gonna like welcome us into El Paso?
Real talk right there. But as Jerry is making up his mind as to whether or not he'll let Earl cross into his property, we do have an update on our NFL pick'em. So this week, I tried to go with some different questions here.
I love you, Jerry.
Yeah, man, we're almost done. We're almost done here. So questions this week. Question number 1. Did the Browns get more than 110 rushing yards? Jacob and Earl said yes. Tyler and I both said no. Tyler and I pick up a point. Question number 2, over under Denver versus Washington football team. The over under was set at 44.5. Everyone except for Tyler said under, and that game was a shit show. Everyone picked up a point except for Tyler. Pick'em, straight pick'em, Seattle versus Jacksonville. Everyone went Seattle. Everyone gets a point. More receiving yards, CeeDee Lamb or Justin Jefferson. I was actually surprised by this one, given the fact that Dak Prescott did not play. But CeeDee Lamb did have more receiving yards. So, Earl, you and I both picked up a point there. Jacob and Tyler both went Justin Jefferson. Would Patrick Mahomes, in question number 5, Patrick Mahomes' rating of greater than 105? No, he did not. He had a QB rating of like 76. So Earl, you and I both picked up a point there as well. Jacob and Tyler said yes and did not get a point.
See, I said no. So Patrick Mahomes is my starting quarterback on my fantasy football league. So I had the inside source. And I guess my question is, who had the better QBR? Baker Mayfield or Pat Mahomes?
Probably Baker this week, but I did not look at his stats. Speaking of fantasy, my one of the leagues I'm in, the waiver wire doesn't run until tomorrow morning, which I think is absolutely stupid. I have Tom Brady on a bye this week, and my backup is Jameis Winston.
Well, you know who you don't pick up? Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, don't pick up Aaron Rodgers this week. That's right. Don't pick up Pat Mahomes either. No, I might just pick up that guy off the Jets.
Mike White.
Yeah, that could be fun. That could be a lot of fun. But anyway.
So he used to be on the Cowboys, by the way.
Yes, I know. And he did nothing there, if I'm correct.
No.
Okay.
Nope.
And then our bonus question this week, I changed it up a little bit. I said I want us to pick the Game 5 winner of the World Series. Earl went Astros. Everyone else went Braves. So Earl picks up 2 points. So that this week.
Lead.
No, it doesn't.
What?
No, you're not in the lead.
What the shit?
Jacob and Tyler both picked up 2 points, putting them on 28 now. Earl, you picked up 6 points, which puts you at 29. I picked up 5 points, which puts me at 30.
Oh, you go to hell, you son of a bitch.
So I am currently leading the pick'em heading into week number 9. You and I have definitely come on stronger the last couple weeks, so that's where we stand in our pick'em. But anyway, thank you guys so much for being here. If you popped into the show, appreciate you being here. As always, throw your questions and comments in the chat anytime we are live. Jerry, thank you so much for interacting with us. Some great questions, great comments tonight. Great discussion. And we are all looking forward to watching the USL Championship Playoffs starting Friday night with El Paso and Oakland Roots. Can't wait to see what happens. It's going to be a lot of fun. Long off season. We're still going to bring you guys content. If not, we'll probably do every week through the end of the playoffs, and then we might go every other week after. I don't know. We'll figure all that out. But thank you guys so much for being here. For Earl, myself, for Jacob, who can't be here tonight. Thank you guys so much. We appreciate each and every one of you. And until next time, Somos Unidos.